School shoes are an everyday necessity for the South African child, but entering this market as a business owner is highly competitive. Good evening, my name is Anathi Ndevu. This is Soweto Business Line. We'll sit down with entrepreneurs who are turning their innovations into sustainable businesses. And tonight, the spotlight is on a man who's completely immersed himself in the school shoe business. Before we bring in the founder of the Soul of Heritage, have a look at this.
Soul of Heritage is more than footwear. It's a bold expression of the African identity, language, and pride. Rooted in Soweto, this innovation business is transforming everyday products into powerful tools of education, cultural awareness, and social impact. Driven by vision and shaped by community, Soul of Heritage stands at the intersection of heritage and modernity, inspiring a generation to walk confidently in who they are. This is the story of purpose, growth, and meaningful impact.
Now that you've seen a glimpse of this business, let's bring in the founder of the Soul of Heritage, Tshepo, Lepote. Tshepo, welcome to Soweto Business Line.
Thank you so much, Anathi.
Thank you so much for having us. A beautiful business. Listen, joining a market like this has already been dominated by big brands.
Sure.
Is no child's play.
Absolutely.
So at what point did you realize that it's important for you to join such a market as a new player in the game?
It's been interesting, Anathi. So with the research that we did, we looked at the school shoe business, right? I mean, we're talking about an industry that has existed for over 150 years. I mean, the largest player in the market has been around for 150 years, with the second largest being around 50 years plus. So you can imagine how oligopolistic the market is. So we saw that my great-grandparents pretty much wore the same school shoes as I do today,
Yes.
my little sister and everybody else. So we just thought to ourselves that this does not make sense. How can school shoes be pretty much the same, right? Be so there hasn't been so much innovation around school shoes.
True, they're all the same.
They are,
They
right?
really are, yeah.
Exactly, right? There's been some few developments and innovative ideas that the guys have brought, but Soul of Heritage is just bringing something that has never been done. So Soul of Heritage is one of the biggest and fastest growing school shoes in the market, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's just loving our brand. Everywhere you go, people are just crazy. How it came about, I was having a conversation with my little sister, right? And I was like, why are school shoes looking as they do?
Yeah.
Right? And she was like, you don't even think about any of your craziness. my principal actually was telling us that she does not even want to see any cotton on her school shoes, like the white cotton, right? So like, okay, maybe we should think of something unique. Then based on the research that I did, I saw how oligopolistic the market was. I thought, let's try and bring something unique, something innovative, something that can speak about Africa, its unique diversity, its unique cultures, its unique languages. So we thought something that Africans can relate to, something that they can resonate to.
Yes.
And it's something brilliant that the market is just loving as we go, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do want us to speak about, what it is that makes you so different. But I
Sure.
do want to, now that you've mentioned Africa,
Sure.
It speaks to the name speaks for itself then.
Absolutely.
That it was inspired by this research.
Yeah.
Tell us more about the Soul of Heritage name.
So Soul of Heritage, what we're about at the core of what we do is we're trying to bring Africanness into the fold, right? So to inculcate the culture of Ubuntu. So we're spreading love for each other, care for each other. That's what Africa is about. That's what being African is about, right? So imagine little ones wearing school shoes and showing the brotherhood that they need as kids. So we're trying to inculcate that culture into them to say, guys, love each other, make sure that you grow together. And we are multicultural, right? Soul of Heritage is a non-racial product. I mean, if you talk about the Rainbow Nation that we have in the country, when it was initially thought about and when it was came into theory, we actually trying to bring that Rainbow Nation into life. And by that, we're saying no racialism should take place between South Africans and Africans, issues of xenophobia. I mean, we're talking about Africa and we're talking about Africanness, right? One Africa for all, from Cairo to all the way to Cape Town. So everybody should just embrace each other. Everybody should learn more about their cultures, their heritage, and everything that is to do with Africa. So you can imagine the racial issues that we've been experiencing in the country. So Soul of Heritage is saying no to that. We're saying white, black, Indian, colored, we one thing. Let's embrace each other. Let's make sure that kids grow up wearing this soul as a sign of a message, right? You can actually say a lot about school shoes, right? These school shoes are about sending a message to South Africans, a message to different cultures, a message to different races to say, let's embrace the school shoe, let's embrace this product. It's our unique South African brand. We're coming from Soweto, man. So Soweto is full of interesting stories, right? I mean, we've got 2 Nobel Peace Prize winners, form of Nelson Mandela, Desmond Tutu.
Absolutely.
There's so much value that and inspiration that we've drawn from these guys. And we're like, Soweto has always been on the map, man. I mean, from the the apartheid years, and now it's about Soweto being rejuvenated and bringing uniqueness in the market. So Soul of Heritage is saying we want to be the leader, we want to take the painting and move forward and making sure that Soweto rises and shines all the time.
Absolutely. Speaking of leadership, would you say that as someone who's entered this space, that it has been a space that had the big players? Has it been a space where it's dominated by white ownership? As a black man entering the space, for being honest, would you say that you have been sort of challenging the status quo in that sense as a black owner entering the space?
Yeah, so we want to be one of the largest black players in the market, right? There hasn't been a largest or a large black player in the form of school shoes, in the school shoe market. So we thought, you know what, there's a chance for us. There's about 14 million kids in the market. On average, there's about 1 million kids that are introduced in the schooling system every year, and about 750 would leave the system. But you can imagine the amount of opportunity that there is. And for some reason, somebody has been making money for the past 150 years, and there hasn't been one black person to say, but maybe I can also do that. So, but the serious challenges that we've come across, right? Number one, it's the introduction of the school shoe itself. So we are inculcating a bit of culture on it. So if you can look at our brand has got traces of culture. It's more about celebrating Africanness, right? And we're saying, let's take all the tradition, the indigenous nations, let's put them into a school shoe. Let's take Basotho, let's take Obatsonga, let's make up a vendor and put it into one thing. And
how did you do that practically?
Sure.
I wanted to talk about how, what makes you guys so different.
So look, maybe let me just quickly try take you through the process, right? So you come up with a brand of this nature, you need to get a manufacturer. So the very same big guys that we're talking about, we actually approached them and everybody said, no, we don't do third-party manufacturing. So you can imagine, we're a small player, we're coming from the township of Soweto, and we're trying to get into this very sensitive space and very difficult space for that matter, very competitive, right? So our engagement with them, they literally shut us out. They said, no, we don't do that. We approached about tier one, I think about 6 manufacturers that we wanted to get into a partnership with. Everybody said, no, we don't do third-party manufacturing, right? So we had to go to second tiers. We were so fortunate that probably after, maybe 12 months of engagement, going to different manufacturers and all, somebody eventually opened their doors. They're like, guys, you've got something unique that you're offering in the market. I love the storyline. I love what you guys are trying to bring and all that. And let's just try to put it to the test. And that was the best decision I think that guy made, because the amount of traction that we've been making, the momentum that we've been getting in the business has been so amazing, man. A
lot of people take for granted the early stages and what they look like. The baby steps of an actual business and starting, but also keeping at it, because you get a lot of doors shut. Why is it important as an entrepreneur to keep going?
Entrepreneurs are crazy people, man, right? There's a destination that we're working towards, right? I'm somebody that has tried out probably 15 businesses before in my previous life, right? But one thing is consistent about me. I'm deliberate about what I'm doing, and eventually I feel that my time is going to come, and definitely Soul of Heritage is going to be there. So there's this unflinching desire to make it, and for us, we've been so deliberate. We've been pushing, and we feel that good days are coming. So you just have to be optimistic. You just need to persevere. It's very difficult. If doors get shut to you, you try to have conversations on a sales platform or any engagement method, be it on digital and stuff, and people will always criticize. People will always have something to say about the brand or have negative stuff to say, right? So you just have to keep going. You just have to believe in what you're doing, and we feel that Soul of Heritage can definitely add something missing in the market.
Absolutely. I want us to talk more about that after the break. While entering a market people know well, take strategy. After the break, we discuss how Soul of Heritage positions itself with the big players. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Soweto Business Line, and we are still in conversation with the founder of Soul of Heritage at Tshepo, Lepote. Tshepo, before the break, you were telling us about what brought you to this point. You know, as you continue to establish a brand, strategy is very important, especially when it comes to, you know, pricing. So as you entered this market, how did you balance that?
Sure, Anathi, pricing is quite important in this business, right? And it depends on the type of model that you deploy, right? You can have a low margin model, and that's pretty much surrounding the big guys, right? If you want to distribute your product through the big guys, then we're talking literally a low margin because they will squeeze you, right? We'll get into that a bit later, right? Then we've got our own distribution. We are available online, right? With the online utilizing that platform, it's a bit better because we are able to generate more margin. We own the entire ecosystem. We own the information of the customer, as opposed to us maybe having going with the big players.
Was that something that you compared with what was already in the market?
Well, look, our pricing has been fairly consistent for the past 2 years. We have not increased our pricing in any way. Our product is priced at $299. It was an introductory price, right? And we thought, let's just keep it to this price. We fully understand the complexities in South Africa, right? Socio-economic conditions are quite a critical factor. Unemployment being rife in our country and all that. So we just have to be fairly consistent with our pricing and ensure that we do not outprice our product, because we know that our customers are in the townships, our customers are in the rural areas. So how do we then balance good quality product and decent pricing? So that is at the core of our strategy, right? Making sure that we're within a decent price range. We are not discriminatory as a product.
Yes.
We want abantu base Soweto, eKasi, Alexander, Gomora, everywhere across Mthatha. This is their product, right? And even Nokoko, Ohleli or NI social grant. This is their product. The pricing is right. The quality is amazing. We give you 6 months guarantee when it comes to the product, and we can literally vouch that the product will last for 12 to 18 months. So it's not only a play of just saying we want to make money or quick buck. We're not making a quick buck. We are here to run a sustainable business. We are here in building the next 100-year business like the other guys have done, right? So it's important that you understand the market that you're operating in. And geographically speaking, it influences the strategy that you can deploy in the business, which is literally what we've done. So we've got an omni-channel strategy that we're doing. We are on the market, we are looking at brick and mortar, but we're very sensitive about that, right?
Yeah.
With the high costs surrounding a fixed cost employees, surrounding rentals and all that. We're just trying to avoid that as much as possible. We run activations. In fact, we are a business that moves on the ground, right? One day you can find us here, the next you can find that in a different place.
Yes.
So we're trying to try out different models, and they're working, right?
I wanted to speak about the models a little bit later on.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to know, just to pick your brain a little bit, some people will say, they've known certain brands. I won't name them by name.
Sure.
They've known them to be on the shelf for many years.
Yeah.
So why would they, take on sort of heritage?
Yeah.
Did you consider that as you entered the market?
Absolutely.
And what makes you so different? Why should people pick sort of heritage from the shelves compared to people saying, you know what, I'll stick with what I know?
Sure. So Soul of Heritage is for us, right? So Soul of Heritage celebrates the Rainbow Nation. So Soul of Heritage wants to put the Rainbow Nation at work, right? We want to challenge the status quo to say, hey guys, we talk about Rainbow Nation, but it's only in a form of theory. We're bringing the Rainbow Nation into practice, right? We want to see integration of the country, more non-racially aligned conversations. Then you've got Umxhosa, Umsotho, Motswana, none of that. Soul of Heritage is just saying, let's preach one thing. Let's preach the African ideals, right? Let's push Ubuntu, let Ubuntu to be at the crux of everything that we do. And I think we can develop and grow a prosperous country by just ensuring that the social dynamics are correctly done. I mean, as a Tswana, a Sotho person, I'd love to see the patterns on my shoe, and I'd love the little ones to take on the inheritance, right? In the form of our history, in the form of our heritage, in the form of our culture. We'd definitely like the little ones to continue with that, man. I think it's quite critical. It's important for one to understand where they're coming from, to inform the direction that they're taking.
I'm curious to know how the response has been from institutions, from parents, from schools.
Yeah.
Has this resonated in the way that you wanted it to?
A lot. The guys on the ground that we've been engaging with, every time we run activations, they're just in awe of the product, right? They're used to your common school shoe, no innovation, none interesting whatsoever. So by just looking at the brand, looking at the patterns, they're just falling in love with something that they can resonate with.
Yes.
Umuntu believes that
Yes.
but then I see something that speaks to me. It resonates to my culture. It resonates to my identity. So Soul of Heritage wants people to identify with themselves and ensure that they know fully well where they're coming from. So some of the interesting aspects that we had introduced was to say, we were running a program where we are saying Soul of Heritage needs to be a product, a go-to product for somebody to learn an official language. So there were a lot of products that we brought surrounding the Soul of Heritage that were augmenting the actual product, right? The actual school shoes. So we run stuff online where we're providing historical information, historical significance of events and all that, right? Celebrating people that have made a mark in our country, in Africa. I think if I can just cite one thing, there's a story Saga in the Eastern Cape, right? So I find it so fascinating that our history has been tampered with, right? Historically, South Africans do not fully know or comprehend if the history that they're exposed to is the real one. So why would we learn of East Story Saga for the longest of time that they decimated their cattle, but then only to find out that there's something completely different. So the narrative has been different over time.
It has changed over time.
It has changed, but then why would the history be not so consistent across time? So it literally means maybe there's an intention behind for us not to necessarily understand where we come from. So Soul of Heritage is just trying to ensure that we rectify those things. We're in conversations with people to partner with the right guys to ensure that they can bring historical, the right history that Black people, that Africans at large can just understand about their identity, their bringing in all those type of things.
And what better way to tell that history as a South African person?
Absolutely.
Because they say that if you don't take ownership of your own stories, other people will.
Absolutely.
I want us to go back to the model that you spoke about. You know, entering the space. I mean, you have patterns literally on the actual shoes themselves. It must be quite a significant financial strategy compared to just a normal toughies, with no pattern. Talk us through that process, you know, getting the right pattern and how that translated just in your books.
So Anathi, if you want to introduce a product of this nature, right, you need to make sure that you do not temper on the constitutional rights that South Africans enjoy, right? So with the research that we did, we had to make sure that we comply constitutionally, we had to make sure that we fully understood the school shoe regulations, because it's a regulated space. You cannot just have a different brand on a school shoe, right? So we had to take very cautious steps when we're bringing this product to life. Then you can imagine you need to engage with historians, right? To say, guys, this is the direction that we want to take. These are the actual patterns that we want to introduce to the product. What is your take? What is your thinking around it? Does it resonate with the real history, or is there some form of misconception that we may be sending out to the market, right? So we're to consult universities as well. We went to universities to reach out to their historical, rich history around the libraries. We went to their university libraries just to get partnerships with them, so that for us to plug into their platforms, for people when they want to learn about Xhosa, want to learn about any of the indigenous nations or indigenous languages or indigenous histories that we have. So it was such a lengthy process, and it took us an easy 2 years, right? And you can imagine financially what it meant, right? As an entrepreneur, to my statement earlier, what I alluded to was, you believe in what you're doing, even if it means you can go bankrupt.
And you fell forward a couple of times.
Exactly. Like you can max your credit card, you can max your personal loan. Like that is a no-brainer for us. Like just get the product to where it's supposed to be, take it to the market, make sure that the people will enjoy your product and achieve success. Absolutely. And success,
it really has become. Building a product is one thing, and making it something that is recognized is another. After the break, we talk growth. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're still watching Soweto Business Line, and we are wrapping up our conversation with founder of Soul of Heritage at Tshepo, Lepote. Tshepo, one of the things that you mentioned, is that you want to manufacture at a bigger scale. Why is this important?
I think over profitability, there has to be a great social impact that Soul of Heritage would like to bring about in the market, right? So more than anything, we want to ensure that we can create employment opportunities. We can teach a lot of our kids about how to start brands, how to go about building a business, and those type of things. I mean, in the market that we are operating in South Africa, we understand the social conditions, man. And a linear approach, a schooling approach only does not necessarily work, right? So we need a lot more Tshepo's out there, a lot of entrepreneurs that can create opportunities, that can create businesses, ultimately which will solve our unemployment challenge that we're having in the country. So for us, scaling is quite critical. We view ourselves as maybe getting a 10-20% market share in the market. It's not easy, but it takes time, right? It takes time, and over a prolonged period, you get to understand the market better. People start to identify with your product. Remember, you are dealing with a 150-year heritage from all the other big guys. So it's not easy to remove somebody that has stamped their authority in the market for 150 years and just to quickly change. But there's something interesting that South African consumers are showing us. Alternatives. People are loving alternatives, right? If you talk vehicles. People are venturing more into alternatives. They offer better value. You look at cell phones. People are opting for alternatives in the market. Even school shoe, it's no different space as well.
Yeah.
People will definitely fall in love with the brand. But ultimately, we'd love to at least have about 2 million units of our brands in the market.
Yeah, absolutely. People definitely do go with what is more affordable in today's economic climate.
Sure.
As someone who's obviously run a business that has been very challenging and a very competitive industry, what would you say was rather the challenges that you faced during this whole process?
So South Africa is not so friendly for small players, right? Funding is a critical aspect of business, right? You go to all these developmental institutions, but sometimes they just expect the business to have reached a certain level, right? So funding is a big one. I mean, easily you can spend almost R1 million or up to R1 million to introduce a brand of this nature. This is what we've literally incurred in the business. It's not easy, man. Like every little thing that we do has a cost associated with it. And access to market, you're competing or grappling with people that have been around for 150 years, like I indicated, and you've got big retailers in the country. I mean, how do you compete with somebody with 6,000 outlets? You can't compete with that, right? So it's serious stuff that we're grappling with. So it's fundamentally around funding. It's access to market. How do we better build maybe opportunities for ourselves? Maybe to come up with unique ways of bringing the product into the market. Maybe your traditional channels needs to be circumvented in some instances, then that can maybe give us some runway with our brand, with our product. But I think with the right noise and the customers trying to get their product into the big players, maybe somebody would just listen to us and say, come Solo Heritage, here's a space for 6,000 stores in the market. Let's get into a conversation. And we're happy to do that, man. Sure.
It is quite interesting how people are, I mean, beyond just business itself, even when you're entering just a job application, you have to prove your worth before you're able to be trusted, even if it means you have no experience. Are school partnerships Tshepo central to the growth strategy of your business?
Definitely. It's one of the models that we've been trying out, right? So when we're doing activations on the ground, you'll find one or two principals trying to find out, hey guys, what are you doing? Then we just divulge the information about the stuff that we're doing at Solo Heritage, the benefits that it has for the schools and all that. So, but it's something that is fairly sensitive and quite new at its initial stages of deployment. So, but yeah, it's one of the models that we've been deploying in the business. And I think something interesting that we've been doing as well is we've been running a lot of donation drives, right? We partnered with Soweto TV on a donation drive that they did recently, and we're so chuffed to have partaken in that initiative. We love empowering our kids. We love working the journey of pride with them, and we want to walk the journey with them up until they reach a level of success with their lives, man. So that's what Solo Heritage is about. We empower, and we need to ensure that we also give back at all times, man. We understand fully what we are dealing with in our markets, and we have to be sensitive to these socio-economic conditions.
Yeah, absolutely. It is very significant that a brand doesn't just start something and then not give back. You know,
absolutely.
That's how we build economies. I'm interested to know, Tshepo, that as you, obviously this process has been very challenging. You've lost a lot of money entering, you know, before it became the business that it has been. For someone that wants to enter such a saturated, competitive market, what would you say being in this business has taught you, and what kind of knowledge would you impart?
Look, I think South Africa is predominantly an oligopolistic market, right? Every industry has got 3-4 big players that are operating. So you must find a niche. You must find something that can be unique about the product and brand that you're bringing to the market. We applied that strategy to ensure that we could look at it that way, right? Just to understand that by just bringing heritage and infusing it into school shoes can definitely bring something different altogether. I think it's about the niche. It's about identifying what is unique. What do you think has been quite static with a given market? Then you can bring something that can include or introduce innovation. I think that's quite important. I've learned so much with this process. And at the core of it is never give up with all the challenges, with all the problems that we've been facing, but you continue to soldier on. You know that there'll be finance issues. You know that there'll be access to market issues. You just need to find the right players, the right people in the business so that they can enable and assist you to take the business forward, man.
Speaking of going forward, in 5 years, from now, where do you see this brand?
This brand in the next 5 years, we should be in a position where we've got our own big plant, where we're able to at least produce about 1 million to 2 million units. We've got a long-term play. We want to ensure that we can outlast myself. The business needs to outlast Tshepo. The business needs to ensure that it stays relevant for the next 100 years. So it's mainly building the factory, making sure that most of our kids in South Africa would wear school shoes and walk with pride, man.
And then for people, Tshepo, who don't know where to find you, where can they access your product?
So we've got Soul of Heritage, our website, which is www.soulofheritage.co.za. We've got embedded and integrated online store on our website. People can go there, check us out. They can reach out to us via WhatsApp. They can use 066-304-6095. That number is active. They can give us calls. They can drop us a line on WhatsApp. And we are on the ground. We've done so many initiatives in the West End. We're quite popular in the West End, right? And we've got a few access points that we've built in the West End, and we are literally coming into Soweto. So there's a lot of access points that we're building around Soweto as well. But if you're from the West End, man, you need to be wearing Soul of Heritage, and to all South Africans as well. If you're not wearing Soul of Heritage, which other brand are you focused on? Sure.
Absolutely. Tshepo, that's all the time we have today.
Sure.
Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate everything that you've told us about this unique brand, and we wish you everything of the best.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. That was Tshepo Lepote, founder of the Soul of Heritage. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. But remember, we do love hearing from you. So please do share your thoughts with us using the details down below. From myself and the rest of the SPL team, have a great evening.